Have you ever felt like you had to grow up way before you were ready? Not because you were smarter than other kids, but because you literally had no choice. You were the one in your family who stayed quiet just to keep the peace. The one who could feel the tension in the room before anyone even said a word. The one who learned way too early that your emotions always came second to everyone else's. And even now, as an adult, you still feel older than your age. Your mind never really switches off. Stress sits in your body for no clear reason. It's like you're constantly carrying something invisible that no one else seems to notice. Here's the uncomfortable question nobody wants to ask. What if all that maturity everyone praised you for wasn't actually strength at all? What if it was just a survival response your brain was forced to build way too early? And what if that same version of you, the calm one, the responsible one, the one who never caused problems, is still secretly running your entire life today without you even realizing it? The truth is, there was never one big moment where everything changed. No clear line between childhood and responsibility. It happened quietly, in the small patterns you didn't even notice at the time. Maybe it was the way voices got louder at home and you learned to become quieter. Maybe it was how you stopped expressing yourself and started reading everyone else's moods instead. You learned to adjust your behavior, fix things before they broke, and slowly, without anyone ever saying it out loud, you stopped being just a child. You became the one who understands, the one who adapts, the one who doesn't make things harder for anyone. And here's what most people completely miss. On the outside, it looked like maturity. It looked like independence. Everyone said, they're so well behaved for their age. But on the inside, your brain was doing something much deeper. When a child learns that safety comes from being careful, from being useful, from never being a burden, their brain rewires itself around survival, not growth. And even years later, that same pattern is still running in the background, quietly shaping how you think, how you react, and how safe you feel in situations that aren't even dangerous anymore. And this is where it starts showing up in the places you'd least expect. Picture this. You finally get a moment to relax. Nothing urgent, no one needs you, the house is quiet. But your mind, it speeds up. You start scanning. What should I be doing right now? What did I forget? What's about to go wrong? Even though your body is still, something inside refuses to switch off. Here's the part that actually hits different. It's not just in your head, it's in your body too. That constant low-level tightness, that restlessness you can't name, that feeling like you can never fully exhale. You might call it overthinking, you might call it stress, or you might just say, this is how I am. But what if it's older than that? Because when you grew up having to stay alert, when reading the room was survival, when peace could shatter at any second, your nervous system didn't forget. It learned to stay on guard even when there's nothing left to guard against. So even in calm moments, your brain keeps scanning, your body stays ready. And the craziest part? Relaxation starts to feel wrong, like you're doing something dangerous just by slowing down. And it doesn't stop there. Somewhere along the way, responsibility stopped being something you do and became something you feel 24/7. You walk into any room and instantly scan everyone's mood. You notice when something's off before anyone even speaks. Then, without thinking, you start adjusting. Your tone, your words, your entire energy, just to keep the peace. And the scary part, it feels completely normal to you. But here's the question almost nobody ever asks. Why do you feel guilty for things that were never your responsibility in the first place? Why does saying no feel like you're letting someone down, like you're being selfish, even when you're already running on empty? Because when you grew up too fast, love got wired differently. Love started to feel like something you had to earn by being helpful, by being easy, by never causing problems. So you learned to carry emotions that weren't yours, fix situations you didn't create, hold weight that was never meant for you. And even now, a quiet part of you still believes that if you ever put that weight down, everything will fall apart. And then there's the part you've probably learned to hide even from yourself. After years of being the one who adjusts, the one who holds everything together, the one who stays calm so everyone else can fall apart, you start losing touch with what you actually feel. Not because you don't have emotions, but because you got so good at burying them that now they show up light, blurred, or all at once. You might feel irritated, but you call it tired. You might feel hurt, but you call it nothing. You might feel completely overwhelmed, but you just keep functioning anyway. Because somewhere along the way, your brain learned emotions are inconvenient. Showing them makes things harder. Staying controlled is safer than being honest. And that creates this strange kind of numbness. You can explain everyone else's pain better than your own. You can read the room in seconds, but you can't read yourself. You know exactly what everyone else needs, except what you need. And here's the truth that hits hardest. There's nothing wrong with you. You just spent too long surviving by disconnecting from the very feelings that would have needed care. And here's where it gets even more complicated. At some point, this stops feeling like something you do and starts feeling like who you are. People start calling you strong, mature, the reliable one. On the surface, it sounds like the highest compliment, but deep down, it becomes a trap. Because now you're not just acting this way, you're expected to be this way, all the time. So even when you're exhausted, even when you're overwhelmed, even when something inside you is screaming for a break, you ignore it. Breaking the image feels dangerous, like you'd lose your role, your value, your place in everyone's life. And here's the part that actually hurts. You start abandoning yourself exactly the same way you once had to. You choose being needed over being okay. You choose being dependable over being honest. You choose being strong over being real. Until the very thing people admire most about you slowly becomes the thing that's draining the life out of you. Because no one ever taught you how to exist without carrying everything. And this is the part most people never connect. What started in your childhood doesn't stay in your thoughts. It moves into your body. That constant pressure, that need to stay alert, that habit of swallowing every feeling, it doesn't disappear. It gets stored. And over time, it shows up as things you can't explain. The random fatigue, even when you've barely done anything. The headaches that come out of nowhere. The tight chest that never fully relaxes. The mental exhaustion that hits way earlier than it should. Like your body is aging faster than your actual life. You might brush it off. Call it stress. Call it normal. But what if it's not? What if your body has been carrying years of unprocessed tension? What if it's been stuck in low-level survival mode for so long that it doesn't even recognize rest as safe anymore? Because when you grew up too fast, your brain learned to protect you early, but your body is the one paying for it later. Even when everything looks fine on the outside, something inside still feels heavy, still feels on edge. Still feels like it never got the chance to just be a child. But here's the part that changes everything. None of this means you are broken, and it definitely doesn't mean this is just who you are forever. What you're actually seeing is not a flaw, it's a pattern that was built under pressure, shaped by circumstances where you had to adapt faster than any child should. The alertness, the over-responsibility, the emotional disconnect, all of it made perfect sense back then. It all had a purpose, It kept you safe. But now, it's just running automatically, even when the danger is long gone. And the moment you start seeing it like that, something subtle but powerful shifts. You stop identifying with it completely, and you start noticing it instead. That small space between "this is me" and "this is something I learned" is exactly where the possibility of change begins. Because you cannot release what you believe is your identity, but you can slowly unlearn what you finally recognize as a response. So the next time you catch yourself staying overly alert in a quiet moment, over-explaining something that didn't need explaining, or feeling responsible for emotions that were never yours to carry, pause for a second. Notice it. Not to judge it, not to fight it, just to recognize it. Because that version of you isn't random, and it's not weak. It's the same part of you that once had to grow up too fast, that had to understand things before it was ready, that had to stay aware just to feel safe. And maybe the real shift happens when you stop asking, "What's wrong with me?" and start realizing, "What happened to me?" You didn't become this way by accident. You adapted, you learned, you survived. But those patterns were never meant to define your entire life. And now, for the first time, you have something you didn't have back then. You have awareness. And that awareness is where everything starts to change. Quietly, but completely.